Welcome to the official start. Hold on. Of Scotty's Tubi Horror Weekend. And so we're gonna start off with this one. It's called Pieces from back in 1982. And I've heard a lot about this film. And I feel like when people mention like schlocky 80s horror films, I feel like this is what they're talking about. Because this is, oh jeez. This is schlocky. This is like, from the first scene, you know you're in for something. Right? So the story is that back in 1942, there's this kid who's putting together an adult puzzle. It's a puzzle that's a woman. It's a puzzle that's a picture of a naked woman. And his mother comes in and she like smacks him around and says, "Oh, that's such filth. You're just like your father." And while she's bitching him out and trying to look for other things of that nature, she turns around and he fucking kills her with an axe. This little kid, but it's a smart kid because the cops show up because there's someone downstairs trying to ring the bell, trying to knock, trying to come in, and she calls the cops, and they come running in, and he hides in the closet, and claims that a big man came in and killed, his mother, so he gets away with it, despite the fact she's all covered in fucking blood. Unless he was sitting right next to her when she was getting killed. I don't know why they don't suspect him. So his fingerprints would be on the weapons. I'm just saying. Because then not only does he chop her head, but he takes a hacksaw and just cuts her into pieces. And then we transition to 40 years later, 1982. We're on a college campus. And let me tell you, this movie, when they claim that 80s slashers were all tits and gore, this is the film they're talking about. Tits and gore. That's all you get, folks. There's a story in there somewhere, but it's tits and gore. And tits and gore. And I'm not talking, what would be in horror movies, nowadays. When it comes, I always find it alluring in older movies like from this decade or so, when you have naked women and how the tits look, well, they're natural. They're not augmented like the ones from today. Like, take, there's still some natural, but it looks more natural back then, I guess. Like, there's a scene where the killer shows up in a pool to kill this girl, and it's a public pool. It's a school. It's the college campus pool, and she's in there with her top off, just swimming in her underwear. And then she gets out, and she's all sprouted out. Because he's coming after her and she's all sprawled out. Like, he grabs her in the pool and pulls her out. She's all laying there and the tits. And they look fantastic. Like, some of the best tits I've seen. They weren't, like, augmented big fucking breasts. They're just perfect, And that he cuts her torso off. But just like, yeah, that's a pretty good scene. And yeah, so 80s had, I'm saying the 80s had better tits. I'm just saying. So yeah, this killer is going around killing people, and I've watched a few reviews, and a lot of people are asking, what's the motive? Why does he start killing again after 40 years? Well, I didn't know that myself, but after watching the dead meat kill count, apparently, and I'm taking this from what he said, So what's wrong? I don't know. But apparently, there's a scene at the beginning of this film where this girl roller skates through a giant mirror. And apparently, the killer sees this and it triggers something. We don't see the killer see this. We're just supposed to believe that that's what it was. I don't know. But apparently, that's what triggers it. And then, the death happened. I do have to point out one death because it's single-handedly the best and worst death in this film. People say, oh, that when they kill the killer, he gets shot in the head. That's the worst kill. Yeah, but this is a combination of best and worst because you got this chick, she's on the waterbed, and he's stabbing her and stabbing her and stabbing her, and there's a part where he goes to stab her in the head, and clearly this knife that they're using, this fake knife, bends. Like, it bends. Like, he broke it. But then, right afterwards, you see it go through the back of her head, through the front of her mouth. And it's like, no, you didn't edit that right, because it shows it going, stabbing her in the back of the head, but it bends, and then it cuts to it going through. If they had just cut it a little bit earlier, it probably would have been better. And I guess there was a few production problems. There's a scene where there's some dancers, and the director wanted them to be naked, or mostly naked, and they said, no, dancers don't do that. So we had to let that one go, but I don't know. It's gratuitous nudity for the sake of being gratuitous nudity. Not against it. It was, I was actually, I'm desensitized to stuff like that, but I was surprised at how much gore and how much tits were in this damn film. One thing I have a negative for is the dubbing. It's obvious that most of these actors, some of the actors, didn't have a very good English speaking voice because they were overdubbed. They even overdubbed some of the American ones. Like, it's really weird, and it's not synced up with their talking, so it's really weird. It almost takes you out of the film. Almost took me out of the film, but I was able to, finish it. And so one of the big things here is they have this woman who's apparently a cop, but she used to be a tennis pro, and she's going undercover as a tennis teacher because they have that, and she is going to help investigate with the help of one of the kids who I guess can't be the killer because she has to be in his 50s because I don't know. They don't know that. We know that, but I don't know. But they kind of have to work together. Now, this guy at first appears to be a nerd, but he's the man. He is the man. He's laying every woman, left and right. He gets tits left and right. He gets that ass left and right. He is the man on campus with the curly little Jufro thing, whatever you call it, the little curly afro, little Jerry curl, curly thing. We do get to see him hanging dong once. I went, because I'm not used to seeing, dingus on film. So that there's just like, obviously I watch porn, but like, who doesn't? But anyway, like, in this kind of way, where it's just like there, and it's just like, oh, in a regular normal film, you don't expect that. So, I'm an American man, leave me alone. But anyway, so, yeah, this leads to, he sees Miss Briggs outside doing investigating or whatever, and goes out to help her when she is accosted by this Asian man. I don't know where. This is like a big out together moment of the film, because this Asian man comes up and starts trying to fight her, and then our main guy has to come around on his motorcycle, which sounds like a chainsaw, of course, and scare him. But then they find she hits him in the nuts, and then finds out that it's the it's Kung Fu professor. Oh, it's my Kung Fu professor. That's not a thing. You inserted this guy, and he's like, and like, what happened? He goes, oh, I don't know. 1 minute I am walking, and next I know I am knocked out. Too much chop suey. And then he walks away. I'm just like, what? Okay. Mm-hmm. And then he takes her home. And as he's leaving, like, he says, hey, are you going to make some coffee? He wants a nightcap because he's the man and he gets all the ass, you know what I mean? And she's like, maybe some other time. And he turns around and his buddy is there, blah, with a mask. And then he takes it off and goes, Casanova, and then walks away. I'm just like, why? Why do you need these random scenes? Why do you need these random scenes? If I have any big negatives, it's probably the last act. Because they reveal the killer so poorly. It's like, really? That's how you do it? So Mary, Miss Briggs, goes to visit the dean to talk about the situation. And he goes, oh, I will make us some tea. So he goes to do that, and we see him grab what is clearly like some kind of drug and put it in her tea. There's your big reveal, people. If that wasn't enough, we cut to a scene at the police station where the detective's like, oh, it's the dean. He saw his mother murdered and it must have messed him up. There it is. Your motive. There it is. So poorly handled. So poorly handled. So they get there and she's drugged and he's nowhere to be seen. But she's laying there like this. Moving her eyes to point towards the curtains. Kind of tell him. And even when they're like holding, she has her finger and it's pointed at the curtains. So she's trying to tell them, but then the two fucking cops leave, leaving our main man there by himself with the woman. It's the dean, pops out with the knife, attacking him. And they're going back and forth, and he's about to kill our main man. I can't remember his name. So, and then a cop comes in, just one shot to the head, dead. Dead. So, that brings an end to this part of the story, but there is one more part. And it's gruesome, and it's awesome, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. So first of all, we find out what he's been doing. They've been showing it throughout the film, but I'm going to tell you right now. He's been taking the parts of these women to make his own puzzle. You know, he's working on a puzzle. A woman puzzle, like a perfect yellow, like Frankenhooker. A Frankenhooker, basically. And they find it, and it falls on our main man. And he gets up, and they're like, oh. And they cover this up. They cover it up. And all of a sudden, a hand pops out, grabs his junk, and rips it off. And you're going, gah! It's just, whew. And that's how the movie ends. That's how the movie ends. There's also another aspect that really had me, like, and I know he can't be the killer because it's too obvious, right? They have the actor who played Pluto in the live-action Popeye movie with Robin Williams. And he's the groundskeeper, and it's his chainsaw that's being used. So he's supposed to be a red herring. But, you know, he can't be because the first time we see the killer in this, he's standing up in a tree. And then, no way, fat-ass Pluto's getting in that tree. I'm just saying. So he's not, you know, he keeps showing up after the killings happen or whatever. And it's like, no, you can't keep doing this, but you know it's not him. Stop. Just stop. Because we know it's not him. And it's not. He kind of disappears from this film, as a matter of fact. Overall, this was a raunchy, gory, good time. I did enjoy myself. It was a fun watch. It just, that last act really just didn't do any favors for it. But it's a decent start to this marathon, I think. Yeah, my favorite kill is obviously the waterbed one, even though it was simultaneously the worst kill. But it is a decent kill to watch. My least favorite kill is the Dean. He gets shot in the head. And the best looking woman is the one who gets killed by the pool. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on Pieces? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And come join me on our journey as we go through the Tubi Horror Weekend. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one. I kind of messed up the things. Who cares?